Do you ever find it challenging to meditate? Well, if you do, you're not alone. And this video will be about a few ideas that might make it a little easier. I'm Les Raymond with the Mindful Movement. Thanks for joining me today for another Mindful Tip. In this video, I want to touch on 3 strategies that can make a meditation practice a little easier. The first strategy is movement. Incorporating movement into a meditation practice can allow the body to be still with a little less struggle sometimes. For many folks, that's like the hardest part, like the stillness part. We would maybe think that that's going to be challenging, but it really is. You know, our minds could be really busy, and when you get the body still, it's like you just notice all that busyness of the mind, and it makes you not want to stay still. But if you do something that's physically demanding, and it could be a number of things, but something that's appropriate for you, but still somewhat physically demanding, when you finish, it's like easier to sit still. It's easier to let go of the body a little bit. I remember when I first got introduced to meditation, it was at the end of a yoga class, and that wasn't a coincidence. As I deepened my practice, I realized that there was a process where it was almost as if you were becoming a conduit for meditation to arise. And the way you did it was by working the body so that you had the space in your body to sit still with more ease. And then once you're there, you could focus on your breath, rest your attention on the present moment, and then that would allow meditation to take place. And I found it tremendously useful. Now, you know, what type of movement you do, I think there's a lot of room for variation here. Now, if you're looking to meditate in the morning and you feel like you generally have a lot of energy in the morning, it might be useful to do something a little bit more strenuous, whether it's a yoga class or you're hitting the gym, whatever's right for you. But getting that done first and then seeing if it's any easier to sit still to allow your practice to take place. And then maybe if it's in the evening that you're looking to meditate, maybe something that's a little bit more relaxing, maybe a more gentle yoga practice or a set of stretches that you find resonate with you well. Or just listen to your body and see, you know, what speaks to you and what you feel like doing. Tip number 2, letting go of expectations. I think this is a real big one. For some reason, you know, we have an idea of what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, how long it's supposed to take, maybe what outcome we should get from meditating. And I got to tell you, in my opinion, that's all nonsense. This is your practice. It's your chance to cultivate a relationship with yourself, and you should do it your way. It doesn't need to look a certain way, and it doesn't need to take a certain amount of time. So find a position that's comfortable for you, and if your schedule is really demanding, don't put that burden on yourself that it needs to be a certain length of time. You know, even if you start with just a few minutes or even 1 minute, whatever, start there. And if that allows you to incorporate it into your lifestyle successfully, then that's great. Go for that. The other expectation is when folks think that there's an outcome that they should get from practicing meditation. And I can assure you that if you practice meditation regularly, things will change. There will be things that happen in your life differently than they used to. It's hard to explain. You'll have to experience it. But I can assure you, things will happen. But if you're thinking about what's supposed to happen, and you might find yourself feeling attached to what's supposed to happen, you might be setting yourself up for a little disappointment that's totally unnecessary, a little internal conflict between the right ear and the left ear, and it's really not necessary. Just practice and let whatever is going to unfold for you, let it unfold and see what meditation has to offer for you. And, you know, I would suggest maybe keeping an open mind. So, you know, give your practice some time to develop and see what happens for you. The third strategy is following a guide. So whether you're following like a guided breath practice or if you're listening to Sarah take you on a fantastic journey of some sort, that could be really useful. When you go to sit down and meditate, it's very common for the mind to be very busy, and the thoughts in your head are just kind of ricocheting around, and it could be challenging to start by resting your attention on something. And what a guide can provide is a nurturing voice, a sound to rest your attention on. And then you're almost handing the workload off. Like you just have this really simple task to just listen to this one voice, and then the process will unfold for you. And it's just really useful. And if you're new to meditation, I think that's very powerful. It could be a great way to start. But even if you're like a seasoned practitioner, I mean, I know I've been meditating for a while, and I'll go in phases. So like sometimes I'll just come out here, and this will be my setting, and the sounds of nature and this ambiance around me will be, what guides me on my journey. And sometimes I'll listen to different styles of music, but I'll go in phases where I really rely on a guide, especially I think in challenging times in my life, or if I'm trying to accomplish a certain task, and there could be a specific meditation that I might find really helpful for that. So listening to a guide allows you to just be carried away a little bit, and it takes some of the, I don't want to say the burden or the responsibility, but in a way it is. It's like hand it off to someone else and let them carry you. And it's also a practice of kind of trusting and being vulnerable a little bit to allow somebody to take control of your journey for you. And if you're listening to this, you're probably familiar with Sarah. She's the voice of the mindful movement, and I would say her voice is very nourishing, and she takes that role very seriously. And I do encourage you to give it a try. And if there's another voice out on YouTube or one of the meditation apps that resonates with you, then that's fine also. But if you want to try one of Sarah's, then I would point you to this one right here. And that would be a great place to start if you're unfamiliar. And if you do give it a try and you do find that it nourishes you in some way, then I would ask you to share that with a comment for our community.